Okay, I'm recording now. Great. Okay. Ooh, let me move this. Great. Hi there, my name's Sean Brilliant. I'm the manager of the Marine Program for the Canadian Wildlife Federation. And today I'm talking with Wendy Sanislow, who is a research associate with the Vancouver Aquarium. Wendy is a primary researcher for one of the research projects that we're supporting through our Endangered Species Fund, and I invited Wendy to come on today to talk a bit about her project. So welcome, Wendy. Thanks for meeting virtually online here.
Thank you very much, Sean. So the project that the Canadian Wildlife Federation has funded for the Vancouver Aquarium is to look at sea lion entanglement. And this is a project that I've been working on for quite some time on the southwest side of Vancouver Island, specifically in Barkley Sound. And I've been collecting a fair amount of data on sea lion entanglement over the last few years. So this fund is going to help support in-depth analysis of that data to help us figure out what species in particular is getting entangled in marine debris, as well as to figure out if there is a certain type of marine debris or fishing gear that we're seeing more commonly. That might help with some management implications and for conservation issues. And another big part, a really big part of the project, is to develop some disentanglement techniques that we can use out in the wild to try to disentangle some of the sea lions that we're seeing.
Right, and these are mostly sea lions that you're dealing with, right? And what kind of material are they getting entangled in general?
Well, that's a really good question. We're seeing a lot of both the Steller sea lion and the Californian sea lion, and those are the two species of sea lions we have on the West Coast. We're seeing both of them entangled in a variety of different types of debris and with ingested fishing gear as well, but primarily they're plastic packing bands. So these are the really thin, very hard with sharp edges pieces of plastic that are used for a variety of things. Usually if you buy virtually anything that's packaged or shipped from your local plumbing department in local store to bait boxes on fishing vessels, to anything that you might get from Amazon that's wrapped up. These are the plastic bands that we're finding around many of the animals, primarily around the necks. But we are seeing some fishing gear, such as monofilament net. We're seeing some rope, and also some rubber bands that I've learned are from crab traps when the animals get quite curious and poke their heads into the traps, and when they bring their head out, a lot of times that material gets stuck around their necks. And most of the entanglements we are seeing are indeed around the neck. So that's a bit of a concern because it can lead to strangulation. It can affect an animal's ability to feed. Potentially, they can get very bad infections as well. So it is an animal welfare issue as well.
Right. And so getting a better understanding of the materials that are causing problems and developing a technique for being able to approach and address these animals seems quite valuable and intuitive anyway. But yeah, can you sort of expand on what we're looking to benefit from in terms of the conservation of these animals?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I've learned from working on this project is the huge number of animals that are out there that are entangled. And I think that before I started doing some of the analysis, that unfortunately it just wasn't known. In fact, my preliminary analysis just in Barkley and Clayoquot Sound area actually showed 408 entanglement records over a span of about 5 years. So that's a really large number. I'm sure that for every entanglement that I saw, there's probably another dozen somewhere else on the coast. So just the awareness itself was a big issue. The next step in trying to figure out what the materials are will also help us identify what some of the causes are and then work towards solutions. For example, there's a fair bit of interest in the States about taking these packing bands and redesigning them so that they're biodegradable. And in some cases, the material itself. In other cases, it could be the glue that's redesigned so that if the animal happens to stick its head inside one of these loops, that they will eventually disintegrate and it won't be an issue for the animal. Definitely learning how important prevention is for sure. So doing shoreline cleanups, losing the loop, like any kind of loop, cutting those loops from plastic packing bands, the 6-packs. I even snip elastic bands now. It all makes a huge difference. So learning about that is really useful. Another big item too, though, is actually learning the techniques in the field for how to dart and sedate the animals. These are pretty much massive bears with flippers, so it's not something to take lightly. And we're really lucky to have Dr. Martin Helena from the aquarium, who has a lot of experience working with sea lions, to be leading that aspect of the project. So learning a lot about the types of drugs and the amounts to use. So far we've disentangled 4 individuals over a span of 3 trips that we've done. Each one has been very different, and learning quite quickly that the type of entanglement makes a difference in our approach, as does the site itself. Even the species and where specifically they're hauled out. So it's been a lot of learning, but it's also been really exciting to see the benefits of getting out there, applying the techniques, learning from them, and most of all the reward of seeing disentangled animals kind of broadly get up from the sedative and jump in the water and swim away.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so this work is you're starting this work now and working on it for the next little while, is that correct?
That's correct. The data analysis started probably last year. It's something I've been working on collecting since 2005, and I guess actually seriously doing analysis since about 2010.
Right.
The disentanglement aspect started in October. So we had our first trip out in Barkley Sound in October. And we knew that there were some entangled animals, and we were lucky enough to disentangle 2. What was quite eye-opening, I think, to everyone involved is that we saw 9 entangled animals in total, and this was only between 2 different haul-outs. So again, was a reminder of how common of a problem this is, and that without having eyes on the water, we just don't know. In addition to that, without even people do see it, a lot of people don't know what to do. So we've been really encouraging folks to be calling the aquarium, or DFO here on the West Coast has a 1-800 stranding line, because if they're not seen, if they're not reported, we don't know what's going on, so we're not able to mobilize a response. So a lot of learning from what we could do to prevent disentanglements, to the actual disentanglement techniques in the field, to creating awareness of if people do see entanglements, to try to encourage them to call the appropriate line so that we can try to do something about it. And a lot of learning as well in terms of developing protocols. We are working with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. They do have the mandate to be protecting the marine environment and marine mammals. So we're working with them, and it's been actually really helpful going out with their fishery officers, who are providing a lot of the vessel support for this work. So even that, the working relationship and how to make the protocols work in the field has been a learning experience, but really positive overall.
Well, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. It certainly is a big collaborative effort. And so this work will continue this summer, which is the summer of 2014. And as you're doing this work, maybe we'll take a chance to check back in with you and see what the progress is. And I realize as well that this is a continuation of a project that you had done last year that we supported through ESF as well. So only more and greater things to come, I guess.
Yeah, and we're just so thankful to the Canadian Wildlife Federation for funding this. I know that myself and Marty, it's been on our minds how big of an issue this is. So we've been looking for ways to how to get their crew and their team out to the remote areas to actually do the work. So it's very much appreciated, and it's amazing how much media attention this work in just since October has gotten here. So it's really helped it's really helped us along. I think it's put a spotlight on the issue as well too.
Right.
So thank you for that.
It is a big issue for Canadians, I think, and the response is not surprising that way. Thanks very much for taking the time to explain the project with us today, and if we get a chance, we'll make sure we check in with you and see how it's working out, maybe in a few months, and find out what the direction your results are going in.
Absolutely. Okay, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks very much for your time, Wendy.
Okay, was that enough information? Did you get what you wanted?